It tells you of the beauty in this state of Michigan.
Hi there, come on in. I'm looking at our new Outdoor Digest magazine with the deer on the cover. Some of you recognize or read inside that this is from our new PBS limited edition print, Daybreak, an opening day setting. Well, there's our full painting, which you're going to hear about this evening. We're going to talk about our Big Buck Awards, how you can qualify, and of course, this is the time, our last chance to have a rundown region by region on deer season 1988. Oh, golly, it's going to be a great one, so you stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night, time for Michigan Outdoors.
Major funding for this program is provided by Stroh. By sharing the responsibility to preserve our natural treasures, together we ensure our right to enjoy them. Stroh, partners in preserving America's outdoor heritage.
White-tailed deer, like any wildlife species, never maintain a constant population. Their numbers go up and down with the food supply, the weather, diseases, and to some degree with the fall hunting success. In some areas, the habitat changes cause long-term trends, like Michigan's highly urbanized southern counties, where in the past 30 years, deer numbers have been steadily climbing. I talked to Ed Tucker, the Southern Regional Wildlife Biologist for the DNR, to see what 1988 holds. Every year, it's been up and up and up. Still continuing?
Oh, it's still continuing. We're quite excited about it this year. In fact, starting to be a little concerned in some areas.
I was going to say, the motorists, I'm sure, are really thrilled.
Yeah, well, we killed probably 22,000 by cars last year, and I suspect that'll continue to go up a little bit this year. So I'm sure the insurance companies and motorists are quite concerned, too. But we intend to do what we possibly can to increase that harvest this year in southern Michigan. In fact, so much so, last year we killed 108,000. I'm hoping to kill between 130 to 140,000. We've given out enough permits in southern Michigan.
You know, in my position, I should know this, but that still astounds me.
Well,
that number of deer in southern Michigan.
It's astounding us, too, when you stop to figure the drain on this herd down here in southern Michigan. If you take a kill even of last year of 108,000 and put with that another kill of that known kill of 22,000 for cars, and if you throw in any kind of other accident rates like deer caught in fence, killed by dogs, that sort of thing, of 10,000, and then look at a poaching situation, and there's a certain amount of poaching, even if you say 50,000, you're talking between 180 and 190,000 drain each year. And when you start, in order to have that constant recruitment of animals each year, and that's taking 190,000 animals, you've got to have over 400-some thousand animals on the ground running and reproducing, each year to bring up that.
To keep what we've got.
Yep.
Another record year in the making for southern Michigan deer hunters. But what about the counties to the north, the traditional breadbasket of Michigan deer hunting, the northern lower peninsula? Regional biologist Gary Bushell looks ahead.
Well, I think they ought to be as excited as they were last year. I think for the most part, hunters are going to be looking at deer about in the same numbers. We don't anticipate any big increase in the buck kill. However, on farmlands, we've increased our permits there, and there will be an added take. But those hunters that hunt on the state and federal forest lands are going to find just about what they did last year.
Big bucks this year in the northern lower? Same as last year?
Again, Fred, with 80 to 85% of the bucks being yearlings, we don't have that opportunity to grow the big ones. There are some big ones that somehow get through. The 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds slip through, and we'll have a few.
Where are they?
Except
for the place you're going to hunt, where are the other ones?
Oh, I think even in Roscommon County, you might see some big bucks come out of there, despite the heavy hunting pressures. But I think any county is going to have a big buck somewhere. And I think you ought to anticipate that they could come from anywhere.
Are deer more widespread throughout the northern lower this year than they have been? There's been some parts of the northern lower where there just haven't been many deer. Oh, Traverse City area, Leelanau Peninsula, places like that.
Right.
Are there any more deer in those areas?
I don't think so. I think your better hunting would be farther south in that west side, south of M55. I know right in the heart of the breadbasket in Roscommon County, for example, That's the only area in the state that's bucks only. And we feel that the reason for that is that deer are widely spread out through the area, and not too many of them, relatively speaking. It gets a tremendous amount of hunting pressure, and we feel that the archery pressure, coupled with previous year's harvest, have depressed that herd over there. And that's been a question that's been asked to us quite a bit as to why this very popular hunting area is bucks only. We feel that if we did offer some hunter choice permits in the area, that there'd be such a demand that there would not be a reasonable opportunity for a hunter to get a permit in that area.
More hunters per square mile in the northern lower. There always have been, but the traditional northern deer camps are across the Mackinac Bridge in the Upper Peninsula. God's country, the wilderness, the call of the wild. UP Regional Biologist Bob Wood gives us an optimistic report.
Well, if the situation that we've been observing this summer is any indication, we should have an excellent hunting season. We expect numbers of hunters to be down a little bit, primarily because it opens on Tuesday. But we also believe that those hunters that do come to the UP will stay a longer time. We expect them to probably stay at least through Saturday, and we expect hunters to have an excellent fall this year.
Are you talking throughout the Upper Peninsula, or just in certain parts of the Upper Peninsula that the hunting is going to be so much better?
I think that hunters, for the most part, know where they're going to come in the Upper Peninsula. Most of our hunters come back time after time, and they're familiar with hunting a particular part of the Upper Peninsula. And yes, I believe that hunters throughout the Upper Peninsula, those that are used to hunting up here, are going to come back, and I believe they're going to see as many or more deer, very similar to last year. As they say, I believe the hunter numbers will actually be down, and for those people who like a quality experience without an awful lot of hunters around, I believe there will be a lot of opportunity for that this year. The weather has certainly been treating us with impunity this particular last month, October and early November. We've had snow off and on throughout the Upper Peninsula from about the 1st of October. There are some places where we now have 18 inches of snow. There are some places where we've got 6 to 8 inches of foot, and there are some places where we've got a trace of snow. It ought to be a very interesting deer season. I'm almost wondering whether we will continue to have snow cover, and if so, I believe hunters will see an awful lot more sign.
Now, is that a guarantee or just a projection?
Well, it depends on the quality of that football game that shows up on Saturday, you realize. It depends on whether it's raining. It depends on how deep the snow is. It depends on how hot it gets. There's a lot of ifs that we can throw in there that say, well, we can always hedge our bets. But I suspect that a hunter that typically gets out and enjoys hunting, gets out and particularly knows the area, I won't guarantee it, but I will certainly say that the probability is good. How's that?
Oh, a great report, Bob. Caps off an optimistic forecast for the entire state. We'll have details county by county in our guide report, but no matter where you hunt, 1988 looks like your best chance in a long time for that big buck.
Live bait is sometimes the best bait you can use, at least it was for Sandra Mullen, who caught this largemouth bass that weighed 7 pounds 5 ounces and was 21 inches long in Clare County. Jeff Hoffmeister of Perry caught this 1 pound 3 ounce 10 3/4 inch bluegill in Houghton Lake using a night crawler, and another fish caught using a night crawler is a mooneye caught by Jim German of Warren in Lake St. Clair. It weighed 1 1/4 pounds and was 15 inches long. Don Yeager of Saginaw caught this Tittabawassee River walleye, a big walleye, weighed over 10 1/2 pounds on a jig and minnow combination. Now here's a turkey that weighed over 16 1/2 pounds, had an 8 5/8 inch beard, and was taken by Lake Orion resident David Young in Ogemaw County. Dennis Sheets of Milan was hunting last year on November 10th with his bow and arrow when he took this 10-pointer in Washtenaw County. Now, he'd seen the deer before on opening day of the pheasant season, and he rattled him up on November 10th. This time the buck didn't get away, and Dennis now has a fine trophy. Well, for rattling in a nice buck and for sending us a beautiful picture of it, let's make Dennis Sheets our Michigan Outdoors Trophy Big Buck Hunter of the Week. Fish Chief John Robertson says he expects that creel surveys and weir counts will show that Lake Michigan salmon runs are down almost 50% this year. Robertson says only about 10% of the planted salmon are surviving. There still seems to be some confusion about which order deer tags can be used in. Here's a simple rule of thumb. Tags can be used in any order, but bonus antlerless tags must be used on antlerless deer only. Lifetime licenses go on sale beginning November 15th. They'll remain on sale for 15 and a half months. Deer check stations will be open on the second day of the season and continue through November 20th. Check stations are located on I-75 at Clio, US 27 at Alma, and M37 south of White Cloud. And a special note this week to deer hunters: leave the 5-gallon white buckets home. While they make excellent seats, there have been cases in recent years where hunters carrying them have been shot, and at least one hunter was killed. The statistics on the gun deer season are impressive. Roughly 1 in 4 Michigan males over 14 buys a license, and in the North Country, many of the schools close. Now, opening day is not a good day to get a refrigerator or a furnace fixed, and normally honest workers who couldn't get the day off have been known to call in sick. Now, folks that don't understand this must think it's some crazy lust to kill, but the truth, well, it's nothing like that. Those of us who deer hunt will probably hunt with friends or family, fathers, brothers, sons, and even some wives and daughters. It's a chance for everybody to enjoy the woods in solitude and to enjoy each other when the hunting day is over. Now, I always think about hunting buddies that have passed on, like my dad and uncle and others who I sure would have liked to have had just one more hunt with. After the season, there'll be venison in some freezers and racks to hang up, but the memories will be the only truly lasting enjoyment. So, instead of wishing you good luck in getting your buck, let me wish for you to enjoy a deer hunt with friends and family that you'll remember fondly for the rest of your life.
George Hotham from Ecorse, Michigan wants to know, in my opinion, how long will it take after hunting season before the deer calm down? When will they forget about the bullets they escaped? Well, George, the fact is, deer have no idea what firearms or bullets are, and frequently the sound of shots at close range doesn't even bother them. Deer hide more whenever the woods are full of human beings, because we all emit a smell similar to wolves, bears, and coyotes. It's the smell of meat-eating animals. It's not the bullets that make deer hide, and deer never totally calm down. They'll return to their normal, nervous patterns a day or two after humans leave their territory.
The Detroit Camper and RV Show continues through Sunday, sponsored by Marvac at Cobo Center in Detroit. The Chief Okemos Sportsman's Club will hold their sighting-in days Saturday and Sunday at their club in Diamonddale, and there will be 2 deer hunter information stations open on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. One is located on I-75 near St. Ignace, and the other on US 27 at Clare at the Mackey Rest area. DNR personnel, conservation officers, and wildlife biologists will staff the special stations to provide hunters with deer hunting literature and to answer questions on deer concentrations, hunting prospects, regulations, and places to hunt and camp. They'll even have maps available. All weekend at Fred Trost Hunting and Fishing Museum at Houghton Lake, we'll have field dressing and butchering videos along with deer behavior videos running continuously. The museum is located 1 block north of the State Police Post on Old 27, right next to Coyle's Restaurant in Houghton Lake. And the deadline for our Fish and Wild Game Recipe Contest is December 1st. All recipe entries must be made on an official entry form available by calling or writing us at the address coming up at the end of the show. If you missed a number, you can get it by calling the Michigan Travel Bureau toll-free on Friday during working hours.
The brink of deer season, right? As we're looking towards our next week's opener. Got my Outdoor Digest out, and fortunately, I think everybody who's a member of the Outdoors Club has theirs by now. We have some articles in here that you should check out before you go hunting. One on bucks and hunting pressure by Dr. Rob Wagner. A story that tells about how the deer react after opening day. And of course, a lot of us will be faced with that problem. Another one, Byron Dalrymple has one on choosing your venison. See, I look at a deer not just as big antlers, but as venison on the hoof, and he tells you how to choose that while you're hunting. Yeah? Some of you might be interested in that one. We also have an article here by Catherine Mulhaupt. It's called Daybreak, is the name of the article, as a painting of a deer done by Heiner Hertling. This is our announcement on this evening of our limited edition art print called Daybreak. This was done by West Bloomfield artist Heiner Hertling. He's won many awards, and this is our PBS commissioned print for 1988-89. Now, if you'll remember last year, let's review back on the cover of the Outdoor Digest last November, December, was our print Midnight Vigil by St. Clair Shores artist David Bowman. That print sold through PBS, through the pledges that you called in, over 1,900 prints. Raised a lot of money for PBS. But we said this was a limited edition. See, we have a small museum edition that's up at our Hunting and Fishing Museum in Houghton Lake, only 100 prints, and that's to establish the price, to set the price at $120 per print. 1,900 of them were ordered by you folks out there through PBS. So we took 1,900 prints, signed and numbered, sent them out. That edition is closed. Not only closed, but take a look at this. The remaining prints we had have been chopped up, shredded. Our creative director, Catherine Mulhaupt, who edits the Outdoor Digest and oversees the art prints and the production here, she took those prints and personally made sure they were destroyed. That means if you were one of the lucky 1,900 people who called in your pledge and got that print, that's it for that edition. No more are in existence. So you can rest easy if you got the print. If you want the new print, the Daybreak print, well, this is going to be available on Big Buck Night. Again, we'll have a small museum edition of 100. It'll be available, no tax breaks, anything else, but the PBS prints do have that. Now, this print, Daybreak, Heiner Hertling is an artist who has painted a variety of things, and you'll meet him on Big Buck Night on December 8th. But this print was done off of slides and videotapes that we sent Heiner of opening day deer. There was one in particular that had the setting that Catherine Mulhaupt wanted to capture, and that was an opening day of bow season up at Lost Arrow Lodge in Gladwin. Oh, we had this little deer coming down the lane, the backlighting coming through. That type of setting at the opening day, really, of gun season, firearm season, November 15th, is what we wanted in this print, and Heiner did an outstanding job. You can see the buck with steam coming out of his nostrils, the doe looking over his shoulder behind him, the sun streaming through the grasses and the meadows behind him, just at opening day at daybreak. And you know that buck sees you, you're sitting in your blind, and I hope you're ready, because that buck is not going to let you make a move. He's spotted you. The moment you move, he's going to be gone. But that limited edition print, something will be available Big Buck Night. I wanted to announce it tonight because Midnight Vigil is no longer available as the PBS edition, and coming up will be Daybreak. Want to mention, of course, we talk about Big Buck Night and the big bucks. We have here in the digest, we always run our Stroh's Hunting and Fishing Award entry form and all the rules. Rules are simple for our Big Buck, not contest, but awards program for our Stroh's Hunting Awards. What you will get if you qualify is a year's membership in the Outdoors Club. You will get an embroidered patch to put on your jacket or coat. You will get a signed certificate that I'll sign saying that you got this award. You will also be listed in our 1989 trophy book, which is printed in our Fish and Wild Game Classics book, which comes out for the March pledge period. And also, you will have a chance to appear on our Big Buck Night on television if you come to our Hunting and Fishing Awards banquet and get your certificate and accolades on stage. Now, how do you qualify? A buck like this wouldn't make it. It's 6 points, long tines, but the spread isn't wide enough and it doesn't have enough points. Enough points? What's enough points? 10 points, 10-point buck. We set it at that because everybody likes to get a 10-point buck. You measure the points. They can either be an inch long by ruler, or if it'll hold a 1-inch tube. You could take something like a film canister and cut it apart so it's an inch long and an inch in diameter and hang it over a tie, and if it'll hold it, we'll give it credit in our scoring system. That measures the points. Now you have 10 points, or you can have a score of 28, which is points plus outside spread. The old Mort Neff method of measuring. We do this just for fun, just for our Trophy Awards program, and just for Big Buck Night. Let us know right by the close of the end of deer season, firearm deer season, if you want to be in the running for that. A lot of things coming up. Good luck and be safe on this deer season, whatever you do. So it's back to reading the digest. A lot of good information in here. In fact, it also has our show pages with our outdoor quizzes.
When you're outdoors and find yourself shivering, should you be concerned? Yes, you should, because shivering is the first stage of hypothermia. Your body is telling you that it's losing heat, and if ignored, shivering will stop if your temperature drops below 90 degrees. But by that time, you're in serious trouble and may not be able to help yourself.
An original concoction, another one by Mary Fortin from Sutton's Bay. She's been a perennial winner in our Fish and Wild Game Cooking Contest. Kathy Beitler?
Oh, a lot of ingredients to this chowder, like there is in all chowders. You got your onions and celery and potatoes, and she go for bacon, which kind of added to this chowder. A little bit of accent, just kind of a form of salt for flavoring. Basically brings out all the good flavors in a chowder. And you want those to cook very good, and you don't want your potatoes to overcook, though, because they will mash down.
Ooh,
and crushed red pepper just gives it kind of a tang that you don't find in other chowders. And it goes your crushed bacon, and then just let everything all cook together. And then you put the fish in last so that it doesn't fall all apart.
Salmon is what you call for in this.
Or you could use lake trout in this. It'd be very, very good. And then you want to just thicken it at the very end with a little bit of cornstarch and water.
Well, you know, Bob Garner was lucky enough to taste all of these award-winning recipes we're using in November and December at our cooking contest. I wonder, wine goes in this.
Wine, just at the very end, just to give it just a little bit of different flavor.
I wonder if Bob thinks your concoction is as good as Mary's.
Mary's a heck of a cook, heck of a chef. Anything you want to, any way you want to word it, she's really good. But I think Kathy has come up with one that's just as good, maybe even a little bit better than Mary's.
No, really. You're going to have to deal with Mary the next time you see her.
Well, Mary understands. She's always got great recipes, but
She does.
this is really excellent.
One from Mary, you know it's good.
And you know, this has that crushed red pepper in it. I'm going to put some more hot sauce. I love
We're
it.
going to hear from Mary until she sees this.
I tell you, but this recipe you can adapt. You could put different spices in. It's great.
Sure.
You know, and it really is with deer season coming up. Be a great recipe to take to camp too, because when it's warmed up, I've eaten this recipe. When it's warmed up, it gets better and better and better. Great.
How much
recipe.
would you take to a deer camp?
Depends on my deer camp. Well, there's 8 or 9 guys up there. Probably 2 gallons, one for me and one for them.
All the ingredients for tonight's recipe, in case you didn't write them down, are in the November-December issue of our Outdoor Digest magazine. The Outdoors Forever section has ideas for lifelong hunting and fishing. The show pages contain the mailbags and quizzes. A calendar of Outdoors Club events and attractions at the museum are announced, along with an entry form and rules for the Stroh's Hunting and Fishing Awards. Plus, articles on hunting knives, the world of wildlife art, and sighting in your rifle by shooting expert Jim Carmichael. For a free issue, along with information on subscribing, just write to me at Fred Trost Outdoors Club, P.O. Box 1775, East Lansing, Michigan 48826. We'll put a copy in the mail to you right away. Let's take a last-minute look at where our regional biologists say the deer and the big bucks are going to come from. Ed Tucker, the southern part of the state, says that the circled areas are the counties where the biggest bucks predominantly are going to come from. Jackson County, boy, that's been the best hot spot, I think, throughout the state. Wayne County, this is an area where there are very few deer, highly urbanized, but I expect one of these years to see a big buck taken on one of these fringe areas around Wayne County. In the northern half of the lower peninsula, these hash marks here represent higher than average concentrations of deer, but they're also generally on the private land. You have to have permission to hunt. In this band here, stretching from Alpena area down to Muskegon, this corridor is where the highest concentrations of deer normally are in the northern lower and the highest concentrations of hunters. North of this, the deer hunting is a little bit sparse, but Emmett County, Gary Bushell says, watch for some big bucks to come from there. In the Upper Peninsula, we will get big buck entries from every county, no doubt about it, from the east to the west. But these northern zones here are ones where the deer are a little more sparse than they are in this band going across Delta, Marquette, the east side of Gogebic County. The area right here that's marked in the hash marks, Iron County, Dickinson, Menominee, western part of Delta, this is where the big concentrations of deer are in the Upper Peninsula. But like I said, if I slighted your favorite hunting spot, there's going to be deer and big bucks taken all over the state. I must say once again, be safe this season. Let's have a good, safe season, hopefully with no fatalities, and enjoy yourself. We'll see you back here for our first-hand report next week.
Major funding for this program was provided by Stroh. By joining together as partners to preserve our natural treasures, together we ensure our right to enjoy them. Stroh, partners in preserving America's outdoor heritage.
Next week on Michigan Outdoors, we have our opening day deer season 1988 up-to-the-minute report. I'll be in the Upper Peninsula with cameraman John Ford. We're going to start at Iron Mountain and work our way east towards the Mackinac Bridge by dark. Bob Garner will be with James Ford in the Lower Peninsula, and they'll end up at 8 o'clock on Tuesday evening on opening day at Tuck's Sporting Goods and at Lenny's Sporting Goods next to each other in Houghton Lake for the buck polls. Our full report next week, so join us right here on PBS.